let me say this to start. It's New York City. What would make you think we would go to the Big Apple and there wouldn't be a lot to talk about? We got a lot to talk about. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. Listen, this is my review for Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 14, episode 5. Episode 5. Already it's been 5 weeks. Well, actually 6, because last week we had holiday and we didn't actually get an episode. So listen, this was definitely worth the wait. We had a lot going on. A lot going on. Let me start off first. Let me go on and start off and be petty. What was this Elvira look, this Elvira mistress of the dark look that Chez had going on? Chez, I don't like this. Now this I don't like. It was very woo. I just didn't see the purpose in it. Listen, here's one good thing out of it. You absolutely have a character that you could actually play. If you want, you know how Kandi is the girl when it comes to competition and doing Halloween stuff. Put this in your arsenal. Just pack it away until a good old nasty piece of October runs around and you can go ahead and you can do Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and I think you would be able to pull it off very, very well. It will work under Halloween. Or if you ever decide to run for RuPaul's Drag Race, girl, you could actually do Elvira for the Snatch Gang. That was a little bit of shade, Chez. Anyway, moving on. That look, I couldn't guess it. Is she serious right now? And the way she was throwing shade, I knew she was serious. I was like, no, girl. You're giving me, honey, Mistress of the Dark. I was running around looking around to see where Algonquin was. Was Algonquin going to jump out of the side, honey, onto the confessionals? Just a mess. Anyway, we go right back into night 1 in New York City at the dinner. Here, Drew, it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth, but she did apologize to Chez for putting her hands in her face. So she apologized about putting her hands in her face, as you should have. But them apologies, it's like, Drew, you and apologies, that ain't one of your strong suits. Well, if I happen to have, that's not how you apologize. I'm sorry about putting my hands in your face, Chez. You know, I ain't really want no smoke with you or nothing like that. It was just heightened, and you know, I talk with my hands. You know, that's an easy apology, especially when you've done something physical that actually crosses the line. The last thing you want to start out with this oh well, if I made you feel this way or some old bull crap like that. That is the last thing you want to do, because that might get you punched in the mouth. You know, if you've done something physically to someone and then you give a half-ass apology, you might mess around and get bopped in your lip. So I just didn't see where the problem was. Just apologize and get it over with. Kandi actually apologized about the movement and moving around and how Chez told her, you know, you should have came directly to me and not go to her and then she go to her and then it come. I didn't like that, and it made me feel a kind of way. And Kandi, she apologized, and I felt like Kandi was back to a wall where she had no other choice but to really apologize. Other than that, she would have came across looking like an asshole, and it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even that deep. You know what I mean? I was the chatty Cathy, you know, and I think she did that. I think she took ownership of it, and she went ahead on and she apologized. Chez felt like it was kind of forced from Kandi, but she accepted it. It was kind of forced. She really didn't, you know, this is what we do. We be chit-chatting, we be being shady, and that's what I was doing. But if being as though it made you feel a certain type of way, it ain't worth falling out about. So yeah, pretty much in the grand scheme of things, it was a forced apology, but that's cool. And they all right, they cool. Moving on, now we got Kenya. Kenya's sitting there and Mark done called. See, I don't know. I honestly don't know Kenya. Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because Kenya's all about the looks of things. She's all about the optics and what it looks like and what it should look like. And she wants this storybook life. Well, baby, you didn't find a prince. You got a frog. You got a frog, and that's all that it is. And you can't, I don't care, Kenya, how right you try to be. You're never going to make Mark Daly be the prince that you thought that you were marrying. He is a frog in this situation, and that's it. We've sat and we've watched and we've watched, and it is literally hard to watch because Kenya's a beautiful woman. You're beautiful. Though your attitude is bad sometimes and you got your ways, and at this point you're a woman of a particular age, trust me, I understand about being of a particular age and we're set in our ways. You are that. You have a streak to you, but there is someone out there that will love you, Kenya, the way that you want them to. But you got to get off of the Mark Daly train because you probably missing your jitney, trying to hold on to the train, girl. Your jitney done drove on by. You could have saved money, girl. It just that you're never going to get what you want out of him. But it's this whole thing. She's like pushing him to actually spend time with Brooklyn. And that's what it came across as. You're pushing up on him to spend this time with Brooklyn. Why? So people say, oh, look, but look what he's doing with Brooklyn. Oh, he kept her overnight. He didn't keep her overnight. He making you jump through hurdles and carry it on. You came to New York with his daughter. It was on him. It ain't for you to get his daughter to him to see her. He should be so happy to see her that he do whatever it is he need to do. And y'all got money. He could have sent someone to come and get Brooklyn if he didn't have time to come get her. So he could have sent someone to get Brooklyn. Do you understand? Stop kissing Mark's ass. It don't look good. It's real grueling. You bending over and begging, and you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that. You know I ain't one of your. I'm not Team Kenya. I'm not Team Twirl. Never have been. You know I don't hate you. I don't have any animosity towards you. Some things you do just don't line up with who I am as a person. I don't think we would do well hanging out together. But one thing I know is that you are a beautiful black woman, and you don't have to kiss his black ass to get treated the way in which you should be treated. I know that, and that has nothing to do with how I feel about you and your antics. You don't have to kiss his behind, Kenya, and I wish you would stop. I really do. It's terrible. It's terrible to watch. Moving on. Men like Mark is why I don't even try dating now. I be like, every time I think I want to step my foot in that pond, stuff like this, I see stuff like this, and I be like, girl, I'm good. I'm cool. Moving on, honey. Marlo and Kandi. Ciao, Marlo. See, you go too far. You go too far with your mouth. She don't sit up there trying to tell Kandi about how she need to screw Todd more. Honey, I said, what? And then tell her, yeah, and, you know, the sex stuff, it's just getting to be too much. Well, excuse me, Kandi is Candy Coated Nights. She is synonymous for sex and owning your womanhood and not being afraid of it. That's who Kandi is. And so you're telling her she's too much candy? Why? You ain't got a sweet tooth? And then you're going to tell her in the top of that about how she should be screwing Todd. And honey, I was like, I know Kandi ain't going to take this sitting down. And sure enough, Kandi going to say, how about you start? How about you start before you come telling me anything about Todd? Okay? I said, I know that's right. Because I'm looking, yeah, Kandi need a little storyline to do what it is she's doing. Do you see what she's doing right now? She's moving and working her business. Okay? Doing what she do. She make a little storyline. Do you honestly believe that Kandi ain't tearing Todd up? Are you kidding? That was the one thing they never had no issue in that area. They were perfectly suited for each other for that lay down. So I took that for what it was. We all got to have a little storyline, honey. It's Housewives. So we got to, we'll talk about a little something personal. But child, for me, I believe if Todd didn't get as much Kandi as he wanted, it was for a week or two. It wasn't no real big issue. Because every time that big legs and hips and body, when it gets to moving around, Todd be, go get him, girl. He be right there looking for her. He be right there looking for her. I can still see Todd looking around for Kandi in the daytime with a flashlight. So don't, child. Y'all better take this for what it is. It's reality TV, honey. Reality TV. Todd is getting what he need, honey. And he always smiling. Todd be being Todd, but he always smiling when Kandi's in his presence. But he pick at her a little bit, and then he always end up smiling, honey. Again, like I said, legs and hips and Kandi, Kandi, Kandi. Yes, God, honey. Anyway, moving on. See, y'all got me acting silly. And moving on. Kandi and this whole little thing, you know, she gave them all some panties with the remote control. I thought it would be a fun game. That's very Kandi. We're going to talk about that more later, but that's real Kandi. Moving on, let's go to day 2. Day 2, we see Kandi meets with the Broadway execs about her play, and everything is going real good. The numbers are looking excellent. Again, like I said, Kandi's doing what it is that Kandi needs to do. What she's doing is what she's best at, making money. She's doing her thing. Kenya was out in the daytime with Sonia, and she's talking about some of the issues in this forming of the friendship between herself and Drew. And it's integrity issues. She just is seeing some issues in the line of integrity when it comes to Drew. And there are things that don't line up with her. And I think a big one, you know, some of how she moves, you know, she talked about like her putting her hand in Sheree's face and that kind of thing that bothered her. But the one thing was, we have to go, remember, she's an Olympian. Okay, she's an Olympian. So that's one thing that's very close to her heart, and she takes it very dear and takes it very serious. Now, she might be putting 20 on 10 because I think, you know, whatever Drew is doing over there really doesn't impact you as long as you're not going into business. Now, I could never see her going into business with Drew. You know, that whole drop it with Drew and Ralph thing. I had never see her doing any business with her like that. But, I mean, you could be her friend. That's you putting 20 on 10 with that. But it kind of bothers her because it's coming up now about the whole thing of the drop it with Drew. First of all, Drew basically got her body sculpted and worked on. So are you really selling? It's that thing of selling a dream when you looking like a nightmare. You're talking about these exercises in this weight loss program, and you don't do the weight loss. You don't do the exercises well, and you ain't do the weight loss. You went and got up on the table and got it cut off. So it's integrity issues. And then I was like, ooh, I hated that they did this, but they kept in this episode kept on calling it a Ponzi scheme. It is a Ponzi scheme. You know, Ponzi schemes are against the law. So I was like, don't do that, y'all. Don't do that. But is everything on the up and up? You know, things with Drew don't seem to always tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. It's kind of like a spin on the truth. So these things are becoming an issue for Sonya. Don't take it too personal, Sonya. But we'll see. Again, you need a storyline, so I guess Drew is it. Moving on. Sheree and Kandi. It's this thing of the stories about Tyrone. It's a lot of excuses. Well, where's he at? Is he coming? Well, why can't he come? You know, all of this. And yeah, it's getting to be, it's like, you know, it's that weird thing of, and Kandi in these confessionals, and Kandi going to say, yeah, he can't come because he's at his other woman's house. That's what I say. I'm like, oh, Kandi. And listen, the dress that Kandi has on her confessional, everything. That dress is gorgeous. And it looks, the color and everything looks really, really good on Kandi. Very risque, but really, really, yeah, that's a hot little number right there. But yeah, girls, Kandi was poking a little fun at Sheree with this Tyrone thing. And Tyrone is starting to look, I mean, it's too much. Calling Tyrone. And I don't know, he ain't showing up. Okay, tell him I said, come on and get your. Okay, he's not showing up. It's not looking good. Something ain't right. Something ain't lining up. Again, here we go with the dating thing. When it looked like it's lopsided. Somebody's more into it than the other, and it ain't looking good. It really ain't looking good. It's, Sheree, I don't know. Moving on, people been questioning her about Tyrone this whole time. Girl, did you get played? Are you being played? What's going on? Too many questions, too many versions of one story. It don't sound good. Moving on, let's go to the dinner. They had a little dinner, and they are talking about, they come up with some of the darndest little things that they talk about amongst their mates. Who's the most famous person that you dated or that you had a crush on? Kandi says, I actually dated Gerald Levert for a while. And we actually had a song that we did that I've never actually released. And it's just sitting on my hard drive. And I think she actually did put it up on her YouTube. I have not listened. I'm going to go and listen to it. I think Kandi's okay. Like, I love Kandi's work, her writing and stuff. And her singing is cool. But Gerald Levert sang. Okay? Kandi can sing. Kandi can definitely sing. But Gerald Levert sings. So I'm going to definitely go and listen to it because I think that if she's on a song with Gerald Levert, I think he probably pulled something out of Kandi that we probably don't usually hear from Kandi when she's like with Escape and that kind of thing because you're the only girl. So if it's just you and him, and then they also had a little connection. I should have listened to it before I actually did this review, but I'm going to have to go listen to it. But I believe, baby, Gerald Levert was the answer. Gerald Levert was no joke. He is a carbon copy of his daddy. And trust me, Eddie ain't to be played with, and neither was Gerald. So I promise you, it's probably some of the best vocals that, they're either the best vocals that Kandi's ever done or the worst. Because I believe he would pull it out of her. I believe you pull out. I will talk about it when we come back. When we meet again, we will talk about it because I'm going to go. Me and my music child love music. I'm going right on over there and listen to it. Let's see what Kandi, what Gerald did, honey. Did he what they call him, the velvet teddy bear, honey? See if he squoze some music up out of you. I bet he did. Anyway, moving on. Marlo is talking about how she dated Jazzy Faye. And we've seen her, she did get all excited when she's saying that Jazzy Faye was going to be around when she went down to visit Kandi and stuff. And they ran into each other down there. Y'all remember that was on like the first episode. And then she talks about dating Gene Simmons. Listen, now they were trying to read Marlo, but you are out of order. Y'all can't read Miss Marlo on that. What she did was told you, again, y'all say what y'all want. I'm the money girl. I'm the money girl. Because you can definitely believe if Marlo was laying up with Gene Simmons, she was getting plenty tongue and plenty funds. You understand? They didn't even know who he was. I said, shame on y'all. Girl, shame on y'all, honey. Y'all know Kiss and Gene Simmons, honey. Gene Simmons. She got plenty funds and plenty tongue, honey, messing around with Gene Simmons. And I know she did. Marlo, I ain't mad at you. Get money, bitch. I ain't mad. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know, girl. Next. They don't know. They looked a damn fool at that table, thinking they was reading her, honey. She was putting y'all hoes up on game. Moving on. Come on, money girl. Kenya says she dated Prince. Why they thought Kenya was lying, I don't know. Prince loved beautiful things. Kenya was a beauty pageant winner at a point in her life. And she is pretty. Child, that's what Prince did, honey. You don't have to be. Child, I can see Prince playing with Kenya. He ain't boo her up all like that, you know. But she fit the bill. She's an exotic beauty. She's juicy. Come on. Everything that he liked wasn't like a stick figure or had to be like that Model S thing. No, remember, we went straight from Vanity to Apollonia, which are two sides of the same coin. Prince just loved women, period. And there's a certain type. Look at her body type. Look at Kenya and look at Apollonia. Now be honest with yourself. No, Kenya's not the, that's right, I'm pleased to meet you. No, that's not Kenya. Kenya's body type is more, I'm a sex shooter, shooting love in your direction. Kenya's body type is right there in line. It's right there in the middle. Kenya's actually built better than Apollonia, but she's that juicy girl. Prince liked all that. All that. Dancers, models. That was his get down. So I don't think Kenya's lying. Now that I don't think she's lying about. That coyote thing, I think that was a lie. That mess about that coyote and the blood and the child in the cave, that was a lie. But do I believe that she let Prince tickle her red Corvette? I knew a girl named Kenya. I believe her. Anyway, moving on. Baby, I'm going to get off here soon. Y'all got me cutting up. Anyway, I'm moving on. Okay, so at this point, Sheree, they were riding Sheree about Tyrone, and I'm looking at Sheree, and I'm starting to see like worry, embarrassment, and stress in Sheree's face. And I'm like, what's going on, Sheree? I mean, come on. At some point, it's going to hit the brick wall, and what's going on? Moving on. So when they're going to the play, they're going on to the play. Kenya, Sheree, and Marlo all did not put their vibrating panties on. They just didn't want to play. And I kind of get it. I mean, because this one, Kandi, like, I'm okay with the whole sex and Kandi and that whole thing. But when you really look at this is a little freaky. Like, it's a little freaky. We here playing with each other's wives' coochies. Because the whole thing was, when we get in there, we found out that the remotes for the panties were, like, naturally, Ross had the remote for Sonya's panties, Todd had Kandi's, and Ralph had Drew's. But the remote, the frequency actually will work on the other panties. Now, Kandi ain't say that. Kandi knew it. But, you know, she's a freak. And I'm like, okay, Kandi, so you literally walked everybody into a situation where we're playing with each other's coochies. We're playing with each other's wives' as coochies. And I was like, okay. And when it came out, that's when it hit me. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Because Ralph realized in the van, him and Ross were sitting too close together. And Ralph's signal, his frequency was working on Sonya's, and Ralph kept hitting the button playing with Sonya's coochie, and his button wasn't working on Drew at all. And you know, Ralph, he would rather have it that way. Ralph was over there tearing Sonya's little coochie up with that little buddy, tearing her little coochie up, because she's like, stop it. Talking to Ross. Ross like, I'm not doing that. And then they found out that Ralph was doing it, and he was like, he was just as entertained. And I said, I wonder. Well, I know if I was Ross, that would have made me feel a kind of way. Like, don't play with my wife like that, man. I'll punch you in the back of your head real hard. Like, I will really punch you up in the back of your head. And Ralph just, I didn't like that. I didn't like that too much. But then again, this is the thing. Ralph is good looking, but baby Ross is fine. Ross probably look at Ralph like he's a clown anyway. So, you know, have fun. Keep playing with her coochie, because when we get back into this hotel, I'm going to fire that honey. So you just go ahead. He probably, because he's so laid back, child, and so fine, he probably don't give a darn. But I would have felt some kind of way about him keep playing with my wife's coochie like that. You know, I don't play with people like that. I told y'all before, I'm a very selfish lover. I don't share ever on purpose. Ever. I don't do threesomes, foursomes. I don't do love. I love to write, as a writer, I love to write about love triangles. Every book that I've written, I play in that lane of a love triangle. I love it. I love to write about a love triangle, but I don't want to participate in one. I've participated in one, and I was not very happy at all. I don't share my peace on purpose, period. So, moving on. They go to the play. Everything at the play goes well. Everybody really enjoyed it. Come back. Child, they're so funny. There was traffic. It's New York City. They had to get out. It was like a 7-minute walk. Why Marlo go get, she had this bad red jumpsuit on. She gonna go get a bike. Ride the bike in the hill. Marlo, you just do. Marlo knows how to get her some extra camera time. She a damn clown. I said, Lord have mercy. God help her. Anyway, moving on. When they go back to the hotel, they have the little pajama jam. And they come down. First one's down is Kenya, Sheree, and Marlo. Child, Marlo over there belching like a man. And they was like, girl. She's like, listen, I got this, that, and the other, and I got, she's fussing about her having acid reflux and whatever else. Girl, you're just trifling. That's all. It is what it is. You just ain't got no damn home training. You fart and you burp and you do all that stuff like a man. Girl, just shut up, Marlo. You just ain't got no damn coots. That's all there is to it. Anyway, that's all right. You be farting in designer clothes, girl. Whatever. Moving on. So they ended up talking about Drew in this business, and here we go again with that Ponzi scheme thing. Then they messy, them ones. They start talking about her and her integrity, and they start calling her a fraud, like saying, is this a fraud? Just that the other about the product. Then they go and they pull up the site, and the site won't come up, and they talk about the cosmetic again, we're on Drew, and do you have integrity? What are you all about? Girl, are you just a liar? We're not impressed by you. I don't know what's up with Drew, but anyway, the girls is like giving Drew clown mania. That's what they give you, Drew. I can tell you, girl, every episode I come and I say, Drew, girl, stop making us laugh at you, but you just keep doing it. Anyway, so shortly after, the rest of the folks show on up, and Kenya ends up apologizing to Ralph about jumping on him at the dinner the day before. And he says, I accept your apology. I'm glad you did that, because sometimes I'm not understood either, so I understand. And she told him, it was pretty much a little bit of, she was triggered, but it really wasn't him. She was triggered by stuff going on in her own life. So that was really big of her to admit that and give that apology. That was really nice, Kenya. And he accepted graciously. And then Todd did them all a favor and took Ross and Ralph and said, we're out of here. Y'all got this. We gone. And they left. And then, honey, Sonya versus Drew. Sonya decides to tell Drew how she's feeling about these integrity issues and different things like that. Drew is like, I don't understand where this is coming from, because why are we doing this in front of everybody when you could have just did this when you were just in my room getting your makeup done? And she's like, Drew, like, seriously, you had like 85 people in your room. And I just thought, I wanted to talk to you about yourself, but I mean, it's the girls. So, I mean, I thought this was just a better place. I kind of understand that, but Sonya, you could actually wait until y'all got up to Atlanta and did it. But then she reading, honey. I told you she reading her. She said, well, I don't understand why she always has to have the biggest glam team. Like, who do you think you are, Beyonce? Or you compete with Beyonce? What's going on? I said, girl, is this really I don't know if it's you really question her or you kind of are starting not to like her. Because that's what it's starting to kind of look like. Like, not only are you questioning having a friendship with her, it's starting to kind of look like maybe you thinking that you may not like her. I was like, oof, okay. Anyway, so then Marlo comes in and blasts the whole thing about the site. And, Drew's like, oh, y'all went to the site. She said, yeah, Kenya went on there. Kenya was going to sign up. Kenya was like, don't do that. She's like, oh, thank y'all. She always played delusion, honey. Thank y'all. They said, oh, girl, don't thank us too soon, girl. We couldn't get on, honey. It's not working. What's going on, honey? Is this a Ponzi scheme? I said, oh, God. Drew going to say, oh, the site. Oh, it crashed. I said, but you knew it wasn't working. Just shut up, Drew. Just shut up. Just stop doing stuff to make us drag you. Stop. You sitting up here acting stupid and you know that this shit ain't right. Stop. Stop it. Foolishness. Then she gonna go through the long drawn out version of the program, and everybody was like, child, I could have had a V8, honey. I was like, oh Lord. Sheree ends up getting up. She gonna say, well, fitness is my lane any old way. I was like, oh, didn't y'all just make up? Y'all just made up, honey. You just threw mayonnaise in her face. Okay, girl. She's like, child, she got a call from Tyrone. Tyrone's FaceTime, and they all talking, where you at? This, that, the other. He's like, oh, yeah, you ain't making excuses. I was like, something ain't right. Next day, Sheree takes a car from New York over to Philadelphia. A couple of hours ride, honey. A couple of hours. She come in my direction. Well, somewhat. Yeah, come in my direction. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. A mess. And then she gets there. She's supposed to meet him. She's sitting there waiting for 2 hours. He don't show up. Of course, she's in Philly. It's cold as hell. You just left out of New York. Now you over in Philly. It's cold. That child used to be in Atlanta. So she's just uncomfortable. You're sitting there waiting on this. I was going to call my name, honey. This man for 2 hours. I was like, oh, Sheree, this is giving me bad vibes. Then the producers come in and they tell her something about he ain't coming. Something about it's supposed to be a parole violation. It's just a mixed up, botched up, screwed up story about nothing. At this point, she's literally embarrassed. Embarrassed about the staff, embarrassed about the girls that she left and they thinking she going to see the man and she ain't seeing them. She embarrassed that now we sitting up looking and just mortified. And I'm like, wow. She's like, I gotta call somebody about this. She calls Kenya, and as she's talking to Kenya, she ended up start crying. And Kenya like, no, Sheree, don't do that. Don't do that. She's like, look, don't worry about it. She's like, she said, what do you need me to do? This was good, Kenya. Now, she probably will use it against her later. But Kenya stepped right in there like a good girl. She said, what do you need from me? Do you need me to set up you some flight stuff? Or what, she's like, I can do that for you. I'm here for you. I was like, oh, come on, Kenya. Come on through. She said, no, I'm supposed to fly out tonight anyway. She told her, you go through the airport, baby, with your head held high, and don't even worry about it. Come on up out of there. Don't chase no more. You wait on him to come to you, and then you figure it out from there. But no more chasing him with this bullshit. And I'm laughing. I said, it's amazing how we can give good advice, but most times we don't take our own advice. Isn't that interesting? And on that, I'll see y'all on the next episode.